Moreover, not only do I have spirit stones, I also have many rare materials and profound armaments. You only need to list out your demands and I'll think of a way to do it. Even if she wasn't able to do it, there was still Limoying, so she could still go back home and discuss with her fiancé on how to go about it. Huang Yueli was very sincere when she raised this, but Lu Baiyan didn't believe her. From how he saw it, no matter what Huang Yueli said, she was merely a 14 to 15-year-old young lass. Even if she had outstanding innate talent, but cultivation itself required a lot of expenditure on resources, so how much money could she have saved? Retreating back 10,000 steps, even if she really did have savings, was it comparable to him, Lu Baiyan? One must know that the two occupations in the entire soaring heavens continent which earned the most were armament masters and alchemists. Ever since Huang Yueli died 14 years ago, the position of a 9-ranked armament master was still vacant till now, whereas for 9-ranked alchemist, it was Lu Baiyan himself. In other words, he was the richest man in the entire soaring heavens continent. So no matter what this young lass had, surely she would not be able to show him anything that he had interest in, right? Furthermore, if he were to woo her now, who on earth would woo the lady and still demanded things from her? Lu Baiyan thought for a moment and replied, "Money, I have plenty of it. For that little bit of yours, I am not interested." Huang Yueli's lips twitched as she wanted to debate further but endured it. All right. Pill masters were indeed rich, and for Lu Baiyan to be so arrogant, he had his own reasoning. Who asked him to be the one that she had to beg for help? She would endure with it. But, if you can copy what you did like last time, to make another meal for me, then I can give you another chance, to help your friend do consultation. What do you think? Lu Baiyan raised his request slowly. Huang Yueli delightfully nodded when she heard that. All right, this is simple. Don't say 1 meal, even if it's 10 meals, it's not a problem too. As long as you're able to cure him, then you will be our best friend. So, we welcome you to our house to be our guest. She had not expected that things were actually that simple. Lu Baiyan's request was actually for her to make him another meal. Huang Yueli felt that it was inconceivable. She knew that her culinary skills weren't bad, but was it really that good to this extent? To even be able to let the difficult divine Dr. Lu to do a consultation for her just for 1 meal. Wasn't this just too magical? She herself didn't even felt that it was really good usually. But no matter what, Lu Baiyan had agreed to it, so it was some great news. Huang Yueli didn't think much of it and just treated that it was his special preference, as she immediately agreed to it joyously. But Lu Baiyan, on hearing her reply, not only did he not felt happy, instead he started to frown. Somehow, he felt that Huang Yueli's words earlier sounded a little strange. What was called? Our house. What was called? Welcome you to our house to be our guest. Whose house was it? Lu Baiyan kept thinking about it and felt uncomfortable, so he couldn't help himself and asked, Miss Bai, why did you say our house? This friend of yours is staying with you. When Huang Yueli heard this question, she suddenly paused as a shade of red uncontrollably filled her face. She realized that she was too excited and actually put the words "our" into her mouth. Although it indeed was the truth, but she and Limoying were not officially married and were staying together, the feeling was a little embarrassing. Lu Baiyan had not expected that over such a question, Huang Yueli actually blushed. You can also listen on. This made Lu Baiyan's alarms ring louder as he immediately asked for an answer. Why are you not talking? Is it inconvenient to speak about? Huang Yueli then shook her head as she said, there's nothing inconvenient to talk about. Actually, the person whom I wanted you to help do consultation for, is my fiancé. Fiancé? Lu Baiyan cried out in alarm as his hand uncontrollably shook and the teacup in his hand instantly dropped, smashing onto the ground. Following the crisp, plop sound, the teacup was smashed to smithereens, shattered into fragments, just like his broken heart. Lu Bian repeated in disbelief, "You say, fiancé. You have a fiancé." Lu Bian totally couldn't believe that such a thing had happened. Just when he was filled with determination to woo a young lady, he suddenly discovered that the only party who made his heart moved, actually, already had a fiancé. Why was he so unlucky, to be just late by one step every single time? This couldn't be true. Huang Yueli had not expected him to be so agitated, and she totally didn't understand why as she looked at him vacantly. "That's right. Right before I was born, we already had this prenatal betrothal. Earlier this year we officially got engaged to become fiancé and fiancée." Lu Bian replied, "Your fiancé was in a prenatal betrothal with you?" Huang Yueli looked at him in puzzlement once again, not understanding why he kept asking her about her personal matters, but she still nodded her head. Lu Bian then recovered from shock that this beautiful lady was a married woman, and on seeing Huang Yueli nod her head, his heart started to quieten down. Although this young lass was so young and had a fiancé, this was really out of one's expectations, which increased the variations in uncertainty during his process of wooing her. But at least the good news was, she and her fiancé were betrothed prenatally. That also meant that their marriage arrangement was totally out of the elder generation's arrangements, purely the type which was similar to drive the ducks onto the perch, so there probably weren't much feelings between the both of them. Towards this Lu Bian was very sure of it. Because Huang Yueli had mentioned this earlier, that her fiancé's body was very weak and had sustained 10 over years of illness. Moreover, from her tone, her fiancé's illness was getting more and more serious by the day, and if this continued, it would bode more ill meanings than positive signs. This kind of man, what abilities did he have? No matter how good his innate talent was, to have such a serious illness, his cultivation would probably not be any higher. Whereas how about this young lass? Her innate talent was exceeding and her ability was outstanding, with both beauty and brains. For a young lady like her, how could she possibly be willing to marry a fiancé with that kind of illness? From this, one could tell that the young lass was probably doing it out of morality, feeling that she should take care of her seriously ill fiancé, so she chose to stay with him instead of rejecting the marriage. There were really not many young ladies who had both affection and faith, and this made Lu Bian's evaluation towards Huang Yueli raised another notch. Huang Yueli totally didn't know that in such a short span of time, Lu Bian's brain had been nourished with so many thoughts, and it was totally not fitting the truth. She only had one question in her mind: when are you free to help my fiancé do the consultation? We have a full set of culinary equipment in our kitchen, so just arrange a time, and when before you drop by, I can prepare the things in advance. I'll make a few more dishes for you to taste in our home, and after that, you can help him do the consultation. Huang Yueli looked at Lu Bian with ardent hope and expectation, feeling that her plan was extremely perfect. You can also listen on. But Lu Bian's heart was burning with jealousy. The girl he liked actually had a marriage arrangement. No matter what the reason was for her engagement, this still made him extremely dissatisfied. Even so, he still immediately agreed to it. All right, we shall do as you say then. He wanted to see for himself who this fiancé of this young lass's was, and what qualifications did he had to possess such a perfect goddess. What Lu Bian had on his mind was, he had to utilize his fullest hard work, to hurriedly cure this young lass's fiancé. In this way, this lass had no moral obligation towards him, nor would she be denounced as a fiancé who abandoned her severely sick fiancé. On the other hand, he had to personally negotiate with this lass's fiancé, to make him realize that he and this young lass's difference, to let him know that he wasn't fit to be with this young lady. Then making him feel ashamed of his inferiority, thereby automatically withdrawing the marriage. Lu Bian had indeed weaved beautiful thoughts on it. Furthermore, If he hadn't misunderstood the other person's words, this plan might possibly be executed beautifully. But Huang Yueli's next sentence once again grabbed him from heavens all the way into Hades. Alright, then you need to grab hold of time quickly. Rather than choosing a date, let's make it tomorrow instead. Later I'll drop by the small town's market to get some ingredients. What do you want to eat? Just tell me. Oh right, I forgot to tell you, it's very simple for you to find me. You just need to go to Celestial Light Sect and find any disciple, tell them you're Divine Dr. Lu and later tell them that you're looking for young sect master Li Moying will do. Li Moying. You say your fiancé is Li Moying. Lu Baiyan had not imagined hearing this name from Huang Yueli at all. Even though he had suffered several blows earlier and felt that he could take on anything else, but now, he still felt deeply shocked and helpless. Had he heard wrongly? He must have heard wrongly, right? How could it be Li Moying? How could it be him? Huang Yueli saw his deep setback look as she asked curiously, what's the matter? You should know him, right? Li Moying is my fiancé. I heard the people in his sect mention this before, that you've done a consultation for him previously and even refined pills for him. That soul detachment illness of his is very rare, so I think you shouldn't have forgotten about him, right? Lu Baiyan clenched his teeth as he tried hard to control himself, to make his own tone sound as peaceful as possible. Right. Yes, I've done a consultation for him previously. Huang Yueli smiled, it's great that you remember it. This time I've looked for your help because his soul detachment illness is getting more and more serious and I'm very worried about him. Of course, I know this illness is extremely hard to cure, so I won't just use one meal to dismiss you. No matter how many meals you want, as long as you can cure him, I'd definitely fulfill my promise, cooking for you any time that you want. Saying that, she seemed to have recalled something as she continued, that's right, my Moying seems to repel you a little. Is it because the way you treat him is too rough, therefore leaving a trauma when he was very young? Will you please be gentler then, otherwise be careful that I'd add spit into your food, okay? Huang Yueli finished whatever she was saying, and when she raised her head, she saw Lu Baiyan's head tightly creased with an exceptional unpleasant expression, as though he was experiencing some torture. His both hands, which were on the table, were clenched into fists and his lips were tightly pursed into a straight line. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli asked in puzzlement, Divine Dr. Lu, what's the matter with you? She suddenly became apprehensive, not knowing why had Lu Baiyan turned so agitated the minute he heard Li Moying's name. She heard Li Moying mention this previously, that he didn't like Lu Baiyan, but Huang Yueli assumed that it was because of Lu Baiyan's violent ways of treatment. She heard that Li Moying was only 7 or 8 years old when he was being treated by Lu Baiyan, so it was no wonder that he would be traumatized. But now, seeing Lu Baiyan's unpleasant complexion, did it mean that the both of them had a serious friction? Huang Yueli had not considered the fact that Lu Baiyan knew about Li Moying's past identity. Because Li Moying himself didn't know who he was and no one beside him knew his identity. So how would Lu Baiyan possibly know? Moreover, Lu Baiyan and Mu Qingying had already turned from friends to does. From Lu Baiyan's stance previously, he couldn't wait to see Mu Qingying die. If he were to find out that Li Moying was Mu Qingying, would he still try to cure him? Apparently not possible. In actual fact, Huang Yueli's thinking was totally wrong this time. Lu Baiyan's understanding towards Li Moying had exceeded her imagination. Furthermore, he even knew more than what she knew. He clenched his teeth as various thoughts flew past his mind. But most of all, was a kind of indescribable jealousy and hatred. That year, he was short of a step in confessing to Huang Yueli and could only see her walk into Mu Qingying's embrace. He chose to give up, but Mu Qingying wasn't even able to protect that lady. After Huang Yueli died, Lu Baiyan had a huge fight with Mu Qingying, and Mu Qingying also made a bold decision. To stake all in one throw. But he ultimately still failed. From then on, Huang Yueli's spirit completely disappeared, entering an eternity of non-reincarnation, whereas Mu Qingying adopted another form of living. Even though Mu Qingying failed, but this made Lu Baiyan's hatred towards him lessen by quite a lot, so he continued to treat the reincarnated Mu Qingying. But Lu Baiyan knew that he and this Li Moying would never be friends again. Luckily, Li Moying didn't have any past life's memories, so the both of them were just strangers in this world, which was the best ending. But Lu Baiyan had not imagined that Li Moying would have a fiancé, and he actually really got engaged. How could he do this? Where had he placed that person who died 14 years ago? Had he completely forgotten about it all? Even though he knew that Li Moying had no past life's memories, but Lu Baiyan couldn't accept that he actually got engaged with someone else. Furthermore, his engagement partner was coincidentally the girl who he liked. When Lu Baiyan thought of this, various complicated emotions started to surge as he couldn't control himself and stood up from his seat. Huang Yueli had a huge shock as she asked, "Divine Dr. Lu, what's the matter with you? Had my fiancé offended you?" Lu Baiyan trembled as he turned his eyes back onto Huang Yueli. The young lady before him bit her lips lightly, as her brows were creased, looking extremely apprehensive. She was so innocent, not knowing anything at all, and not knowing that her fiancé was a cruel and unscrupulous fellow. He wasn't worthy of her. Lu Baiyan spoke out, "Miss Bai, do you know that Li Moying, you can also listen on." Lu Baiyan's words were by the side of his mouth, when he suddenly stopped. The young lady didn't know anything at all. She was doing it out of moral obligations, to take care of her severely ill fiancé only. How would he be so cruel, to tell her the cruel truth? Furthermore, she probably wouldn't believe him, so why take the trouble? Huang Yueli frowned as she continued to ask, "Divine Dr. Lu, what are you trying to say? Why are you suddenly acting so strangely?" Lu Baiyan's thoughts flew by quickly. "Miss Bai, I'm afraid that you'd be cheated by a scum and be hurt by him. Do you know that he, Li Moying, is the famous handsome male in the South Sky region, and the number of women beside him are just too many? Not to mention that your sect master's daughter Murong Fei had always been by his side no matter where he went. Other people only consider Murong Fei as his fiancé, and don't know who you are. Together with a Casanova, you won't have any good ending." Lu Baiyan gathered all the recent gossip that he heard around Celestial Light sect and gave a plausible reason which sounded like it was true. When Huang Yueli heard that, the creases on her forehead started to loosen as she laughed. "Divine Dr. Lu, you're so concerned about me because you treat me like a friend?" Lu Baiyan hurriedly explained, "That's right. To be frank, I've met so many ladies and only the food that you cook tastes the best. In order to be able to try your cooking anytime, I am willing to be your friend." Huang Yueli laughed as she said, "It's my pleasure to be friends with Divine Dr. Lu. But you are really thinking too much. My relationship with Li Moying is great. Regarding the matter between him and Murong Fei, that's just a story with no facts spread by others. Rumors with no basis will be stopped by intelligent people, so you need not mind too much over it." Lu Baiyan's heart was raging unceasingly as he really wanted to tell her that those rumors were really nothing. None of the rumors described just how much of a scumbag was Li Moying, this fellow. However, he still endured it. "All right, I understand your meaning now. You don't need to worry, I will go and help your friend to do consultation. But you might need to wait a little while more. Beside this, I suddenly recalled that I've already arranged a meeting with someone else to do consultation at another place tonight. Now that it's quite late, I have to be on my way. Furthermore, I won't be able to make it back on time tomorrow, so I won't be dropping by your side to have a meal." Lu Baiyan was distracted as his thoughts were in turmoil. He didn't want to continue staying in front of Huang Yueli, otherwise he would definitely give the game away. So he could only find a reason to quickly leave. Although Huang Yueli felt that his actions were abnormal, but she didn't ask too much and only replied, "All right, then we shall arrange another time to meet. But please do put aside some time soon. I feel that Moying's condition is worsening by the minute and it cannot be dragged on any longer." Lu Bian heard that all she was worried about was Li Moying as he got even more frustrated. He half-heartedly nodded his head and waved casually, then, as though he was fleeing, he quickly left the small town. Huang Yueli saw his departing figure as she frowned. During night time, when Huang Yueli returned to Li Moying's courtyard, she continued to think back about what happened in the afternoon. Li Moying had gone out to another place to deal with some matters in the day, and in order not to be separated with his little fiancée, he hurried back through the night. He toiled for long hours and was travel-worn by the time he reached back. His hair was slightly dispersed and a lock of his jet-black hair had fallen to the front of his forehead. His face still bore the signs of frost as his thin lips curled upwards with a smirk of lazy smile, giving off an exclusive man's charm. He walked towards Huang Yueli's back as he wrapped his hands around her slender waist. "You can also listen on." It was until Li Moying's warm breath blew against her neck before Huang Yueli suddenly awoke from her thoughts. "Ah, Moying, you're back." Li Moying's face revealed a slight displeasure. He didn't like the feeling of being disregarded by his fiancée, so he lowered his head and bit Huang Yueli's neck gently. Huang Yueli gave a shrill cry as she hurriedly used her hand to protect her neck. "What are you trying to do? You're not a puppy and you're biting me again. I told you this long before, you're not allowed to plant any love bites on my neck. I don't want to be laughed at by others anymore." Li Moying gave an indifferent reply as he gave a low laugh. "Who dares to laugh at you? Tell me and I'll help you beat them up." "I think the others are not laughing at you, only jealous that we're showing off our love. You think everyone's as shameless as you. Go to one side." Huang Yueli turned and looked at him angrily, trying to push him aside. However, Li Moying stuck onto her even more as he grumbled, "You still dare to say me? Why don't you reflect on yourself? I'm already back for quite some time and you totally didn't notice me. What are you thinking of? Still thinking about what happened in the small town this afternoon?" Huang Yueli replied in surprise, "You know about it." Li Moying gave a humph as he said, "I've just stepped into the door when Elder Wang stopped me and threw me his disciple whom he had bundled up, saying that he had offended me unknowingly, so he's here to receive his punishment. After I've asked, then I realized that that fellow didn't grow any eyes and actually tried to attack you." Huang Yueli thought that Li Moying found out about her meeting with Lu Bian, so she had not expected that what Li Moying was talking about was the conflict she had with Feng Li Kun this afternoon about the oars. That matter, she no longer put it in her mind. A small character like Feng Li Kun merely used his own identity as direct disciple, which enabled him to tyrannize everyone in Celestial Light sect. Actually, he didn't have much ability, so right after Huang Yueli punched him, she totally casted him out of his mind. She wouldn't bother about such a small matter. What made her more worried was Li Moying's soul detachment illness. Li Moying replied, "I asked Elder Wang to drive him out of his faction, and from now on he's just an ordinary outer disciple. Other than that, Elder Wang heard that you liked ores, so he gave you a huge box of 6th tier and above high-grade ores. I've already left it in your armament refining room, so take a look yourself tomorrow. Wow, I've struck it rich this time. Thank you." Huang Yueli gave him a peck on his face to express her gratitude. Li Moying satisfactorily accepted the beauty's kiss, but when he was thinking about hugging his fragrant fiancée to sleep, he discovered that she was still frowning as though there was something on her mind. Li Moying immediately frowned as he coughed softly. However, Huang Yueli was lost in her thoughts and totally didn't hear him at all. Li Moying coughed again but still didn't get the reaction he expected, so he immediately became upset as he grabbed hold of Huang Yueli's arm and brought her into his embrace. "What are you thinking about again?" Huang Yueli replied, "Not thinking of anything." Li Moying became even unhappier as he lowered his head, pressing against her, meeting his eyes to hers without blinking. Don't lie to me, you have something on your mind. Looks like you're not upset over that fellow surnamed Feng, so what's this about? Seeing Huang Yueli hesitate, he added, you're not allowed to lie to me. You said this yourself, from now on we'll remain honest with each other and there are no secrets between the two of us. Huang Yueli was stunned, recalling that this was really something that she had said. You can also listen on. She was afraid that Li Moying would cover up about his illness, but now this same sentence was thrown back by Li Moying to herself. She replied helplessly, actually there wasn't anything. Just, I met an acquaintance while drinking tea alone this afternoon. Li Moying's instincts told him that something was wrong as he pursued for an answer, acquaintance. Who? Huang Yueli hesitated for a moment. He's Lu Bian. The minute she said that, she instantly felt Li Moying's body turning stiff as the arm embracing her loosened slightly. Following that, Li Moying's voice was heard above her head, and this time round, it wasn't as gentle as before. Instead there was a tinge of bitter cold to it. I'd never expected that this fellow actually found his way here. Didn't you say you don't have any relations with him? Why did you still talk to him? Huang Yueli knew that he definitely wouldn't be happy, but she had not expected that his jealousy was so obvious to the fact that she could even smell the sour smell from 800 miles away. She helplessly replied, don't be like this. I indeed don't have any relation with him. We are merely acquainted, but he had after all saved my life, so when we meet, how can I not even say hello? So what if he saved you? Don't tell me when he helps other people do consultation, he doesn't accept consultation fees. Speaking of that, Li Moying suddenly recalled a question which he had neglected for a long time. He suddenly had a bad feeling. That's right, I haven't had the chance to ask you. Previously, why did Lu Bian treat you? He isn't those kind who could be bribed with a little spirit stones. What did he ask you to help him do? Huang Yueli totally didn't expected him to bring up this matter, as she was stunned. About this, if she were to tell him that Lu Bian asked her to accompany him for 7 days, wouldn't Li Moying go mad from anger? What on earth did he make you do? The more Huang Yueli hesitated, the more suspicious Li Moying got as he insisted on finding the answer. Huang Yueli started sprouting cold sweat on her forehead as she felt embarrassed to the max. She obviously hadn't done anything, so why did she suddenly felt so guilty? Li Moying stretched out his hand to hold up her face as he forcefully raised her head to look at him. Four eyes were exchanging looks, and Huang Yueli was stared intently by that pitch-black eyes till her heart started pounding wildly, almost not being able to breathe. What is that attitude? Don't tell me you suspect that I have something going on with him. If you don't trust me, then just ignore me. Huang Yueli glowered at him as she pamperedly and arrogantly turned her head over. Although Li Moying looked aggressive and was unexcelled in the world, but in actual fact he was just a paper tiger in front of Huang Yueli. On seeing his little lass getting angry, his fire immediately extinguished. Don't be angry. I don't mean it in that way. Alright, I only feel that Lu Bian, that fellow, had something for you. I suspect he has ulterior motives towards you. Huang Yueli looked at him shockingly as she almost laughed out in anger. What nonsense are you talking about? How could Lu Bian have any ulterior motives on me? Let me tell you then. The last time I was saved by him, he indeed wanted me to stay in his residence to accompany him for a few days. Hearing that, Li Moying's expression turned extremely gloomy as the arm holding on to her uncontrollably tightened its restraint. Huang Yueli was in pain by his action as she pushed his chest hard, in an attempt to push him aside. You can also listen on. What tantrum are you throwing again? Let me go, MBH. Her objections were being blocked by an urgent kiss. Li Moying's kiss was very sudden and Huang Yueli originally wanted to push him aside but she hesitated for a moment but later she put her arm around his neck and proactively deepened this kiss. Actually she could also feel Li Moying's anxiety from his inner heart. This was probably because she had previously rejected him repeatedly and it could also possibly be the shadows left behind in their past lives. So in conclusion, he had always been fearing that she would leave him. Although Huang Yueli sometimes was frustrated over the fact that her fiancé was a little too sticky, but after thinking through, she felt that Li Moying was so restless because of her so she had always been accommodating to him to use actual actions to tell him that towards him, she would never leave or abandon him, always placing him in first place. As the young lady in his arms was extremely obedient, Li Moying's uneasiness in his heart was soon placated. His urging kisses slowly turned gentle and the ambiguity slowly upgraded. Upon feeling Li Moying's palm moving up from her slender waist, Huang Yueli immediately pushed him. Li Moying's hand stopped as he loosened her in a fluster and even pushed her aside. He quickly walked to the tea set and poured a cup of tea as he downed it. Huang Yueli touched her lips which were kissed till it turned red as she threw him a humorous smile while watching his action. Li Moying had always been insistent that he must recover his memories and officially marry her before they take their relationship to the next step. Huang Yueli knew that on one hand this was the respect he had towards her and on the other hand, it was because he had not been able to marry her in their past lives so this became an obsession in this man's heart. But as Li Moying liked to tangle himself around her, kissing her whenever he got the chance so it also led to his utmost suffering. The tea on the table was brewed in the afternoon and by now it was already icy cold. Li Moying drank the entire pot with great effort before he finally cooled down the fire within him. By the time he put down the teacup and turned round, he saw his little fox propping up her cheeks as she beamed at him in a relaxed and contented expression. Li Moying's eyes turned chilly as he gave a cold harumph. Huang Yueli saw that he was still behaving in a pampered and arrogant manner so she walked over and proactively hugged his slender waist. "What on earth are you angry about? You got suspicious of me for no reason, so the person who should be angry should be me, all right? Don't tell me you feel that I'm those kind of fickle-minded woman." Huang Yueli raised her head as she looked down towards him and pouted. Li Moying was most afraid of her being unhappy so no matter how uncomfortable he was feeling inside, he barely managed to hiss out a sentence from the slits of his teeth, "I'm not angry." This was called not angry. Huang Yueli couldn't help but burst out giggling and afterwards, she wasn't surprised to see that Li Moying's face had turned even darker. She hurriedly replied, "All right, will you listen to whatever I have to say first, all right? I am telling you, Li Bian has someone in his heart and moreover he has liked this person for a long time. I also don't know why they got separated but Li Bian often thinks of the person through an object so obviously his feelings for her are very deep. Furthermore, although he asked me to accompany him for a few days, but he didn't do anything off the scale. He just made me play the zither for him so I'm guessing the person he likes knows how to play the zither very well." She was afraid that Li Moying would misunderstand again so she explained really quickly and she just uttered everything at one go while blinking her big, watery eyes looking innocently at her own fiancé. "You can also listen on." Li Moying listened to her explanation but he felt that things couldn't be that simple. However, on knowing that Li Bian had not done anything too offending, he felt slightly better. Plus the fact that Huang Yueli used that kind of doleful eyes on him, no matter how unhappy he was, he had no way of directing his anger at her. He gave a light humph and said, "Anyway, don't get in touch with him. Even if he really has someone who he likes, but he's also not able to be together with her, isn't it? Perhaps he might just shift his affections and fall in love with you instead." Huang Yueli was amused. How could that be possible? Who do you think I am? What kind of woman had divine Dr. Lu not seen before? Even if he wanted to shift his affections, there are so many women who are willing to be with him, why would he be interested in me? You are the only one who likes me so much. When Li Moying heard that, He lowered his head and lightly caressed her face. You're absolutely right. I'm the person who likes you the most. Then how about you towards me? He still had this feeling that towards a young lady like his little fox, which man wouldn't be interested? So what if Lu Bian was the #1 divine doctor? If he really had no interest in Huang Yueli, why would he come looking for her so many times? But he had no intention to continue with this question. Anyway, Lear was obviously not interested in Lu Bian, so as long as she didn't give him any chances to go near her, everything should be alright. Huang Yueli heard such an ambiguous question as her face immediately surfaced a shade of pink. Li Moying gave a deep laugh, and just as he was about to say something else to tease her, Huang Yueli suddenly popped out a sentence. That's right, I have another matter to tell you. Today, when I was chatting with Lu Bian, we mentioned about your soul detachment illness. I've already got him to agree to come to Celestial Light Sect to do a consultation for you when he's free. Li Moying went into a blank. What did you say? Huang Yueli pulled his hand as she put on a worried look. I know you don't like Lu Bian, but it is undeniable that his medical skills are indeed the best in the entire Soaring Heavens continent. Your soul detachment illness is getting worse every single time it acts up, and I'm really worried, so won't you let him to come take a look? Li Moying's expression sunk even deeper, and this time, he actually brushed aside Huang Yueli's hand. Impossible, I'd rather die of sickness than to allow him to do another consultation for me. Huang Yueli's eyes widened like full moons. Why? Can you stop being so childish? It's no good to hide a sickness for fear of treatment. Do you know that every single time your illness acts up, how heartbroken I am? Brother Moe and the rest are very worried as well. For me, can't you just put aside your prejudice and let Lu Bian take a look? Li Moying's face was gloomy as he spoke icily. I know my own body best. If Lu Bian could cure my illness, he would have done so 10 years ago, so why wait till today? He's indeed helpless. Moreover, every single time my illness acts up, it was all because of some agitation. Now that you're by my side, even if it's a full moon's night, my illness can be controlled. In future it will slowly get better, so why do we still need to look for him? Huang Yueli didn't expect that he would be so stubborn, as she was so angry that she stomped her feet. Why are you like this? This is totally a different matter, alright. Although on the surface it looks as though when I'm by your side, your illness doesn't act up. But in actual fact, your soul detachment illness totally isn't getting any better. If one day I'm not beside you and if your illness acts up, it will be much more serious than now. You can also listen on. When Li Moying heard that, his glare became extremely scary as he shot up and grabbed Huang Yueli's wrist with force. What do you mean? Don't tell me you're still thinking of leaving me. Huang Yueli was in pain by his clutch as she started to struggle. Let go of me. I never said that I'm going to leave you. I'm just saying. If, do you understand or not? Li Moying saw her struggles, but he still clasped onto her hand tightly. What if? If there are any ifs, I'd rather die than let you leave me. If something like what happened in our past life happens again, I will immediately accompany you to leave this world, so I don't care if it acts up or not. Huang Yueli was in so much pain that her bones were about to be broken as she spoke, teary eyes. Let go of me first. I'm not letting go. You're causing my hand to be in a lot of pain. Li Moying then realized it and hurriedly loosened his hand. On seeing Huang Yueli touching the position where her shoulder had been pinched in a pitiful look, he immediately became regretful. Lear, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Huang Yueli rolled her eyes at him as she didn't talk. Li Moying suddenly went upwards and swept her off her feet as he carried her. Huang Yueli almost lost balance and immediately hugged his neck as she shouted, What are you doing? Let me down. Li Moying put her down on the bed as he stretched out her hand to unclasp the hook in front of her chest. Huang Yueli's face immediately turned green as she started twisting her body while struggling. I'm warning you, Li Moying. Don't you dare to use the handsome male trick upon disagreement. That's useless. Today you have to listen to me, Li Moying pulled off her outer shirt but didn't continue to undress her any further. Instead he frowned when he looked at the blue-black bruises on her shoulder which had been pinched by him. Huang Yueli saw that there was a chance to exploit him and immediately shrank her shoulder while acting pitiful. At the same time she used an accusative glare to look at him. Li Moying naturally was feeling heart pain but his face remained cold. However, the actions of his hands were extremely gentle as he retrieved a bottle of ointment from the beside and gently applied it for her. Huang Yueli took a glance at it to discover that this was a bottle of 6th-tier amethyst jade hibiscus ointment which could aid in growing flesh or joined bones, or reconstruct meridians. This was a spiritual medication which could make heavily injured practitioners revive from the brink of death, but now it was being used to treat a small bruise on her. This man was really too jittery. Huang Yueli's heart turned warm and just as Li Moying was about to leave after applying the ointment, she tugged his sleeve as she used an extremely gentle and soft tone. Moying, please, will you listen to me? All right. Not all right. Li Moying swept her a profound glance. If you're really afraid that I will lose my life because of my illness, then why don't you stick close to me, not leaving even one step? In this way, nothing will happen to me. Very simple, isn't it? Where on earth was this simple? Huang Yueli suddenly felt annoyed again. No matter how loving the couple was, surely there was no reason for them to stick to one another from day to night, wasn't it? Moreover speaking, how could plans ever be able to chase up to changes? With a hidden illness on Li Moying, no one can tell when it would act up. Rather than being in constant fear every day, it was much better to treat the illness at one go. Even if he was unable to be cured, at least they had made an effort, right? But Li Moying apparently didn't think so. Even though Huang Yueli coaxed and pestered him for half a day, he still refused to relent. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli was finally ruffled up as she gave Li Moying the last diplomatic note. I'm asking you once more, are you going to listen to me or not, to let Lu Baiyan take a look at your illness? I'm warning you, if you don't agree to it, then I'll never bother about you again. Next time your illness acts up, I will not help you, so just die of illness. Huang Yueli put up a bravado as she said those sharp words, putting on a determined expression to break off relations to scare Li Moying. Usually Li Moying was most afraid of her ignoring him, so as long as there was a little spark of her showing her anger, he would automatically beg for mercy, giving in and agreeing to whatever she wanted. The result this time was Li Moying giving a cold huff, declaring, Li Moying don't need my woman to go beg others for me to continue living. Anyway, I will absolutely not go meet Lu Baiyan, and you are not allowed to meet him too. If you don't want to bother about me, then don't. Saying that, he actually flicked his sleeves as he walked off. It was until she heard the guest room's door shut with a loud bang before Huang Yueli realized what happened. The both of them were considered to be in a cold war. Li Moying usually couldn't wait to stick to her every single moment, and today he actually ran off to the guest room to sleep. He was using physical actions to express his own stand, that he would absolutely not let Lu Baiyan do any consultation for him. Huang Yueli really didn't understand just how much of the enmity and hatred there was between the both of them. Previously, when Lu Baiyan talked about him, he also bore an angry and awkward look. But in the end, Lu Baiyan at least agreed to do a consultation for him. Unlike Li Moying, who acted so pampered and arrogant, even starting a cold war with her. He obviously knew that she loved him dearly and couldn't bear to really ignore him nor leave him unattended when his illness acted up, wasn't it? The more Huang Yueli thought, the angrier she got. She was plainly considering on his behalf, so why did he need to act in such a way? She could give in for other matters, but for matters related to his heath, She absolutely would not give in. Huang Yueli was determined that if Li Moying didn't agree to her request, she would absolutely ignore him, absolutely. Thinking of this, Huang Yueli got up and locked the room door, then removing her clothes, she blew out the candlelight and pulled the blanket up to her chin, wrapping up her body. Sleep. Li Moying was also suffering from a bundle of anger in the guest room next door. Did his young lass know what she was saying? She didn't know how Liu Baiyan had humiliated him that year. So he would look for anyone to save his life, but definitely not Liu Baiyan. Moreover, Liu Baiyan hated him so much, so why would he casually agree to do a consultation for him? It was definitely Lear who agreed to some ridiculous request from Liu Baiyan, such as accompanying him for another 7 days or something like that. Huang Yueli herself was ignorant, but as a man, how would Li Moying not sense what Liu Baiyan was thinking about? That fellow absolutely had designs on his Lear. Perhaps Liu Baiyan had agreed to do a consultation for him so that he could intentionally drive a wedge between them. As if he would let him get his way. Anyway, Li Moying had also decided not to give in for this matter. Furthermore, he wanted to use this opportunity to express his attitude towards Huang Yueli. Although he valued his wife like she was his life, but there were certain things which he cannot give way, and would not listen to everything she said. After making the decision, Li Moying too blew out the candlelight and climbed onto the bed to sleep. In the middle of the quiet night, Huang Yueli sat on the big bed alone as her body was wrapped up in that thick blanket with her eyes tightly shut. You can also listen on. She tried her best to hypnotize herself in an attempt to quieten down her heart to sleep faster, but the more she thought, the more she couldn't sleep. After attempting various times and still unable to enter dreamland, she might as well give up and sit upwards as she prepared to meditate while cultivating in order to get past the night. But even if it was cultivation, it was hard for her to quieten down her heart, as she repeatedly was at a loss for quite some time before she could finally force herself to settle down. It was around 1 o'clock in the morning when Huang Yueli, who was in the middle of cultivation, suddenly opened her eyes. She had instinctively heard a slight noise from a place not too far away. Although it was very light, but her senses were extremely sharp, so she still heard it. Following that, her room door was pushed slightly by someone. Naturally, as she had locked it earlier, the room door did not open up. Damn it! This worrisome young lass actually locked me outside. Li Moying's discomfited voice was heard growling from the outside. Huang Yueli blinked and pursed her lips but didn't make a sound. Li Moying, who was standing outside, was totally feeling stuffed. Although he had just quarreled with Huang Yueli earlier, but after running over to the guest room, he couldn't sleep as he kept thinking about Huang Yueli, who was in the next room. It was now in the middle of autumn and the weather had turned chilly. The young lass had the habit of kicking her blanket away in the middle of the night, and if he wasn't beside her, who knows if her sleeping posture would be so bad that she would catch a chill. Forget it, even if she caught a chill, she deserved it. What did it have to do with him? Although he thought in that way, but the more Li Moying thought, the more worried he got. He finally couldn't take it any longer as he got up, thinking of sneaking into the room to take a look at Huang Yueli and leaving after that. Anyway, he would definitely not let Huang Yueli discover that he had been over. However, after running to the bedroom door, he discovered that he had been locked outside. Li Moying simply had no way to describe his current feelings. He was so melancholic that he was going to go crazy. He stood at the chilly corridor for quite a while before he finally left in a huff. Huang Yueli actually hadn't been sleeping as her eyes were tightly fixed on that door. For a moment she thought that Li Moying would break in, but at last he finally chose to leave. Huang Yueli bit her lips as her heart was stuffy and totally unable to quieten down her heart to cultivate, so she could only stay up the entire night till dawn broke. The next morning, Li Moying and Huang Yueli both had 2 dark eye rings as they met at the entrance of the room door. Usually they would have breakfast together and talk about their plans for the day. But today, They didn't even look each other in the eye as they silently finished their breakfast, and without even a goodbye, they went on their own ways. This scene made Moe and Moe totally astonished. While this couple was having their meal, the two of them had stayed in the corner using their eyes to exchange thousands of messages. What was the situation? It looked as though they had quarreled. But these two had been separating and reconciling, and after such a long time, they had finally harmoniously got together officially. Just how long had it been only, and now, they actually quarreled. Did they need to be so misleading? Shadow guards were all teary eyes as they almost knelt down to them. What's there to quarrel about over nothing? Couldn't they just quietly show off their love and torture the dogs? Why must they quarrel? Furthermore, every time they quarreled, the ones who would run into bad luck would be those shadow guards who were by Li Moying's side. At this kind of time, it was absolutely apt to describe it as accompanying the sovereign was akin to accompanying a tiger. You can also listen on. Everyone tucked their tails in properly. Indeed, as expected, from that day onwards, Li Moying resumed his normal severe and aloof nature. Almost all the shadow guards around him were blasted by him, and momentarily all of them were feeling precarious as they wanted to cry but had no tears. Everyone went to look for Moe for help, hoping that he could work from Huang Yueli's side to stop the quarrel. Moe naturally was duty-bound because Li Moying was now a raging dragon. No one dared to pull his tiger's whiskers. But although Huang Yueli also put up a cold face, but she was still courteous to the shadow guards, not directing her anger on them. Third Miss Moe was punished by Master again yesterday, and Mo-san, the minute Moe opened his mouth, Huang Yueli already knew what he wanted to talk about. But meeting his hopeful eyes, she set her heart to reject him. Brother Moe, you should know that I'm not someone who kicks up a fuss over nothing. It really is because Li Moying is too much, so I definitely will not give way, so please go back. Moe saw that acting pitiful couldn't help, so he immediately switched away. Third Miss, you understand Master well. His character is just too hard and not refusing to submit, but his heart absolutely places you in number one place. Actually, these few days, he will ask me over to check in detail regarding your daily activities. When he heard that you've taken one mouthful less of food, his heart ached for the entire day. Whereas without you by his side, he often forgets to eat and he doesn't sleep well at night too. I can tell that his spirit is getting worse. Surely his illness is not going to act up again, right? When Huang Yueli heard that, her heart started to ache. In actual fact, she had already noticed every single time Li Moying looked for Moe, and she also discovered that Li Moying would sneak into the room in the middle of the night to help her put on the blanket, and sometimes even kissing her secretly. No matter how tough this man was, he still loved her dearly. Furthermore, Li Moying's body hadn't been very good. Every single time his illness acted up, it brought along a serious liability. Their quarrel was actually regarding his health, but if it caused his soul detachment illness to act up, wouldn't that be stressing the incidental over the fundamental? Sigh, this man just wanted his face and was unable to put it down. Forget it, who asked her to like him, so she shall give him a stage to step down. Huang Yueli thought for some time and finally nodded her head. I know already. Don't worry, I will go see him tonight. When shadow guards got wind of this news, all of them were overjoyed, feeling that they were about to escape from the abyss of suffering, finally being saved. That night, Huang Yueli boiled a bowl of nourishing soup personally as she knocked on Li Moying's study room's door. Who is it? Haven't I said this earlier, that no one is allowed to come and disturb me? Are you tired of living? Li Moying's mellow harsh howl was heard from the study room, and it was accompanied with something dropping and smashing on the ground. Huang Yueli pursed her lips as she said meekly, "It's me." Her words had just stopped when the room immediately turned silent. Li Moying didn't say a word and no one knew what he was doing. Huang Yueli waited for a little while before she pushed the door open. On the ground of the study room was filled with shattered pieces. The ceramic flower pot which was previously on Li Moying's study table was missing, apparently smashed to pieces by him. Huang Yueli couldn't help but feel the pinch. Although that antique ceramic flower pot lines in gold wasn't any profound ornament, but that was an antique which had been passed down from ancient times and had a long history, which made it extremely valuable. You can also listen on. This man was acting a little too much like a wastrel. Huang Yueli carried the bowl of hot soup as she slowly walked towards Li Moying. Li Moying intentionally shut his eyes, not looking at her and ignoring her. Huang Yueli left the serving tray on the table and her footsteps stopped without any sound. Li Moying's eyes were shut and he felt a little strange that the surroundings had quietened down. Initially he was determined not to open his eyes as he leaned against the back of the chair, pretending to be dead. But after a while more, there still wasn't any movements and he was worried that something had happened to Huang Yueli, so he hurriedly opened his eyes. In the end, Huang Yueli's magnified face suddenly appeared in front of his eyes, giving him a huge shock. Li Moying just opened his mouth when Huang Yueli placed a finger on his lips, stopping him from saying anything else. I heard from Moer that you haven't had dinner, aren't you hungry? Huang Yueli turned her head into an angle as she looked at him and asked. Li Moying held on to her wrist as he shifted her finger aside and said, I'm hungry. To be frank, he was indeed very hungry, but he was in no mood to have his dinner, so naturally he didn't feel hungry. But the moment Huang Yueli brought in the soup through the door, Li Moying immediately felt his hunger. Huang Yueli's culinary skills had always been top-notch, and this time, in order to successfully reconcile with Li Moying, she specially made her speciality as she expended an entire day's effort to brew the soup. Under all the hopeful eyes of the shadow guards, she entered the study room. So this soup tasted exceptionally great. Huang Yueli personally brought the soup to him, then drink a little. I heard that you had been sleeping in the study room recently and this is too damaging to your body, so I've specially made you some soup. Li Moying thought that Huang Yueli would continue with the quarrel until the end of time and had not expected her to initiate her goodwill, so in this way, he started to feel guilty over this. He stretched out his hand to touch Huang Yueli's face as he said softly, I'm all right. Thank you for being so concerned about me. These few days. I'm in the wrong, so don't be angry with me already, alright? Huang Yueli's eyeballs rotated. The minute Li Moying started to coax her, her pamperedness and arrogance started to act up. You also know that you're in the wrong. You actually don't admit to your mistake proactively and even throwing a tantrum daily. How many cups had been smashed by you recently? No matter how rich you are, you cannot be such a wastrel. You even made me worried. Seeing his little fox puffed up her cheeks in an angry look, Li Moying's anger extinguished totally and could only raise his forelimbs to surrender. All right, Lear, it's my fault. It's all my fault. I guarantee that I won't be wasteful from now on and I will not make you worry. Stop being angry with me. If you continue to be angry, you'll turn ugly. You're the one who will turn ugly. Huang Yueli retorted angrily, I'll become prettier by the day. Li Moying realized that he said the wrong thing again as he hurriedly changed his words. Yes, my Lear is most beautiful, and if I don't see you, I miss you so much that I have no mood to eat and turn ugly from hunger. Huang Yueli stared at his face for quite some time to discover that he indeed became thinner, apparently suffering from serious mental torture. She sighed in her heart. In actual fact, she realized that from their past life, this man had always had this temper, so they had their moments of arguments during their past lives. Only then, she was rather young and impetuous, and plus the fact that she hadn't gone through much setbacks and she was still the young priestess who was clamored by the masses, so naturally her temper wasn't good at all. For example, doing things to initiate goodwill like today was something which she would never do in her past life. You can also listen on. Because of this, the amount of conflicts in their past lives accumulated more and more as both of them refused to give in to each other, hence separating and reconciling was a common affair. Now, after they have experienced life and death and later on after she had experienced the process of transforming from trash to gradually overcoming it, she was no longer as arrogant as in her past life. She began to treasure the affinity with Li Moying, not wanting to affect their relationship over some minor reasons. How many people were like them, to have experienced death once and then reuniting once again and from then continuing to be together? The days which they were together was a blessing from the heavens and worthy of them cherishing it greatly. Li Moying slowly drank the soup which she brewed while Huang Yueli looked on from the side, occasionally giving him a smile. That sweet and obedient look made Li Moying's heart melt. The two of them finished their food in sweetness and Li Moying no longer wanted to stay in the study room. He had already wasted a few nights of not being intimate with Lear, so how could he possibly continue to waste young night? Huang Yueli was brought into his embrace as he kissed her, but amidst the passion, she didn't forget about the official matter. Wait, Moying, first let me confirm, when are you free? I've already checked it out. Lu Baiyan is pretty busy recently and he can only do a consultation tomorrow or the day after. Perhaps I can invite him over tomorrow. Li Moying's kissing paused as she looked at him in disbelief. He had not expected that the mood was so good now, but Huang Yueli actually brought up the old issue again. He thought that Huang Yueli had already given up her stand and listened to him since she came to look for him today. She would not get in touch with Lu Baiyan, so naturally would not agree to him going for a consultation. In the end, it actually wasn't like that. Li Moying regained his senses and his expression turned ugly once again. Can you not mention about this matter? We are doing great now, so why talk about this again? Huang Yueli said anxiously. How can I not mention it? This concerns your body. Moreover, if we miss these 2 days, Divine Dr. Lu will be leaving to another place to do consultation again, so God knows when he will return. I don't want to keep dragging like this, I will be very worried. Huang Yueli's thinking was totally different from Li Moying's. She indeed had initiated the goodwill and hoped that the both of them can reconcile, but she felt that what she was doing was correct, so she would not give up. Letting Li Moying do a consultation was one matter, quarreling with him was another, so she wasn't some weak young lady who would easily give up her own stand. Li Moying saw that she was so insistent and immediately felt that he had been cheated as his mood turned downcast. So, today you brew the soup for me and said so many things to coax me wasn't because you miss me, but only wanted me to go for consultation. Huang Yueli was flabbergasted. Can you stop being so unreasonable? If I'm not concerned about you, why would I make you do the consultation? Will you die if you just let Lu Baiyan take a look? Of course I won't die, but it'd be much more serious than dying. He would absolutely not allow his love rival to do the consultation for him. This was a matter of pride. Moreover, Li Moying still remembered that Huang Yueli said this before, that the man she liked was a 9th stage realm top expert who could satisfy all her materialistic needs. Although that person was himself in his past life, but he was after all not a 9th stage realm practitioner now, but Lu Baiyan was. This kind of love rival was different from those small shrimps like Yuan Xiu. He was a huge threat. You can also listen on. If he were to owe his love rival a favor, then how was he going to deal with Lu Baiyan in an underhanded method in future? Huang Yueli didn't know that he was so easily jealous to such an extent, with so much absurd considerations. She only knew that Li Moying, this man, was just too difficult to deal with. She had already lowered herself to please him and yet he didn't appreciate it. He was simply too much. She also had her own pride, all right. She wouldn't lower herself to beg him, and for her to initiate sending him soup was a huge step back. Why can't Li Moying also take one step back to satisfy her request? This was a win-win situation for them, wasn't it? The more Huang Yueli thought, the angrier she got as she questioned, so no matter what I say, you will not receive a consultation, is that right? Li Moying looked at her icy cold side face as his heart suddenly jumped. Actually, he himself wasn't too sure. Although a man's pride was important, but if Huang Yueli really ignored him, then his pride would only meet ghosts. But they hadn't gone to this step yet, so he absolutely would not show this. Otherwise his position in the house would really be unimportant. So Li Moying braced himself as he said, saying all these are of no use. I've already decided on it and no one can change my mind, including you. Huang Yueli was hurt by this sentence. She raised her head and gave him a cold stare as she lightly spat out the words, very good. Saying that, she turned around and left the study room. It was until now that Li Moying realized that things were in bad shape, and after going into a blank for a short moment, he chased after her. But Huang Yueli's speed was equivalently fast, so by this time she had already returned to the bedroom and immediately locked the door and activated the mechanism. Li Moying knocked hard on the door from outside. Lear, don't be angry. I'm in the wrong, will you please open the door first? However, Huang Yueli refused to bother about him as she hid in the room to sulk. Li Moying called out again, regarding the matter about the consultation. There's still some room for discussion. I'm just not mentally prepared. Will you give me some time to consider? I didn't say that. I definitely won't be consulted. Hearing that, Huang Yueli's icy cold voice was heard. Oh. Really? Haven't you said this earlier that you definitely won't go? Why is it that you're saying that you didn't say this? I don't mean it in that way. It's just something I said in a moment of anger. Li Moying was tongue-tied as he tried hard to explain. By this time, he realized that having an intelligent and powerful fiancé really was a twisted thing. Usually when she was with him abusing the dregs, it felt really good, and when they displayed their love, it felt very sweet. But when he couldn't win her in an argument, that became very bitter. But no matter what, at this point of time, other than begging for mercy, he didn't have any other choice. Lear, I haven't been using my brain when I talked earlier. It's probably due to the fact that I didn't have enough sleep, so can you not take it against me? Please have some pity on me and open the door. Not opening. Anyway, I will be inviting Lu Baiyan over these 2 days, and after he has given you a consultation and you accommodating to his treatment, then I will forgive you. Li Moying was totally helpless, feeling that he had moved the rock over to smash on his own feet. If he knew that the ultimate ending was still him giving in, he should have agreed to it right from the start. Now not only did he needed to see that disgusting Lu Baiyan's face, the quarrel between him and Lear had worsened. You can also listen on. Li Moying stood at the door for quite some time, but Huang Yueli still hadn't opened the door for him, so he could only leave gloomily. It wasn't that he didn't want to break into the room, but the mechanisms in his house had all been modified by Huang Yueli to increase the safety notch. Usually the mechanisms in the house to him as master of the house was naturally not fortified, but now that Huang Yueli got angry and shut him outside, he then discovered that he was powerless against these mechanisms. Having such an intelligent fiancé, to a man, was a huge challenge. Shadow guards all hid in the darkness and spied on them for a long time. They originally thought that Third Miss would definitely reconcile with their master, but they didn't expect that the both of them started quarreling again. Mo Air gave Moe a glance. Eldest brother, what should we do next? Moe was extremely helpless too. He really didn't expect that his own master's EQ would be so low to such an extent. But thinking of it, it seemed that Li Moying was a man who got whatever he wanted since young, and no one had ever dared to defy his wishes, so his character was originally strong and overbearing. Plus the fact that he was so handsome looking, when ladies saw him, all of them were like houseflies which saw flesh, no matter how he tried to chase them away. So if he understood how to coax women would really be something strange. I have no idea too. But I can tell that in front of third miss, Master can only admit defeat. I think we had better stop worrying over nothing. Just endure with it for now. When Master goes to find third miss to beg for her forgiveness, then everything should be all right. Eldest brother, I feel that your words cannot be trusted. What kind of person is Master? Would he really go beg third miss? Wouldn't the sun will rise from the west side? Moe only said, up to you to believe or not, just wait and see. Saying that, he waved his hand, let's all disperse now. Those on duty hurry on and go. Master is now infuriated, so everyone better keep your skin on tightly. This night, Moying tossed and turned restlessly in bed. If someone told him 1 year ago that he would go head over heels over a woman to this state, even to the fact that just quarreling over a few words made him unable to sleep, he would absolutely not believe in such a thing. Not only would he not believed it, he might possibly even laugh out loudly. There were so many ladies around him and he didn't feel anything for them. That went to show that he was totally emotionless towards the opposite gender, so why would he be distraught with anxiety over a woman? However, he had indeed put all his thoughts onto Huang Yueli now. It hadn't been easy for him to survive until dawn broke.
Moying rushed to the bedroom door as he wishfully waited for Huang Yueli to get out from bed to have her breakfast. But the room door remained tightly shut. Moe bowed in front of him as he conveyed Huang Yueli's instructions. Master, third miss said she will be going into closed-door cultivation today and will not be meeting anyone. So will you please put yourself at ease and at the same time, get mentally prepared for the consultation. Moying's eyes looked as though he was about to spew out fire as he stared viciously at Moe. Moe's herd was apprehensive, but he could only lower his head, not making a sound. He was very sure that no matter how angry Moying was, he couldn't possibly deal with him now. After all, he was now one of third miss's subordinates. At the same time, thinking of those miserable days which Moe and the others had been leading recently, Moe was extremely glad that his master had given him to third Mississippi. Indeed, after Moying stared at him for a while more, he was totally helpless as he could only rushed out angrily. His mood was vile to the extreme and he left swiftly. You can also listen on.
Those celestial light sect disciples who passed by didn't dare to offend him. But halfway on his route, someone blocked his way. Moying, we haven't met for so many years and you're still bearing that disgusted look. A voice bearing ridicule was heard from his left side. Moying's footsteps halted as he frowned and turned back to take a look. A clean, cool figure dressed in a white robe appeared slowly from the left side of the forest. His good-looking eyes and contour, as compared to Moying, wasn't inferior at all. The presence around his radiated into an even stronger aura, an aura which belonged to a real ninth-stage realm top expert. Moying's pupils contracted and his expression suddenly turned grave. It's you. Li Bian. Lu Bian walked near to him and he finally stopped around 10 meters in front of him. He didn't intentionally exercise restraint on his imposing manner because he knew his biggest advantage now was that his cultivation had far surpassed Moying's. This was the largest advantage which he didn't had in his past life. Even though he was an earth-attributed practitioner and he wasn't as strong and overbearing as a thunder-attributed practitioner, but he was a genuine ninth-stage realm practitioner, so the moment he unleashed his grandeur around him, all those practitioners who had lower abilities than him had no choice but to bow their heads and submit to him. Moying's shadow guards couldn't take this tremendous pressure as they all fell onto the ground. Only Moying stood quietly on the original spot and his expression was as normal as usual, as though he wasn't affected by Li Bian at all. Two tall, handsome males were a mere distance from each other as they sized each other up. The previous time they met, Lu Bian's expression was haggard, his thoughts seemed flustered as his mental condition wasn't very good at all. Whereas Moying was still a child with arrogance and outstanding innate talent, but he was tortured by that strange illness. The two of them weren't in their best condition. Today, when they met again, the circumstances were totally different. Li Moying finally met a genuine top-rated expert's imposing manner and potential. Even for a genius like him, he must exhaust all his energy to control himself from not lowering his head in front of Liu Baiyan's imposing manner. Whereas Liu Baiyan was indeed as what the rumors were, handsome and outstanding, with a mixed refined and elegant temperament. As compared to his power and overbearing manner filled with invasiveness, it was totally different, which made him a unique kind of handsome male. This raised the threat in Li Moying's heart to the highest point. Whereas Liu Baiyan's glare became even more complicated. The Li Moying in his eyes as compared to his past life was much younger, and although his cultivation had weakened by quite a bit, but his biting cold inviolability imposing manner hadn't undergone much change. That good-looking face was slightly different from his past life, but that pair of peach blossom eyes hadn't changed at all. He was still able to sweep a young lady off her feet with just a gaze. And this person was still the same as his past life, he was still his love rival. The minute he met Li Moying, Liu Baiyan seemed as though he had seen Mu Qingying 14 years ago, and momentarily, all sorts of complicated feelings surged upwards, and for a moment, he had a feeling as though he wanted to give up. But he quickly regained his senses. This was not Mu Qingying from the past, but Li Moying. Now he wasn't the #1 top expert in Soaring Heaven's continent, and not the sect master of Soaring Heaven's continent's #1 stronghold Blue Profound sect, or not even with a healthy body. So Liu Baiyan was absolutely the one who had the greatest advantage. You can also listen on. After they exchanged glances for quite some time, the sparks from enmity and hatred was seen from their eyes. After a long time, Liu Baiyan started off first. Li Moying, you should know why I'm here to look for you. Li Moying's corners of his lips tugged slightly and his voice was extremely cold. Oh. What should I know? Divine Dr. Liu had graced your presence to Celestial Light sect, which had truly brought light to our humble dwelling. But what I don't understand, if no one invited you and you've come over. When had Divine Dr. Liu's value dropped to such a standard? He and Huang Yueli were still in a cold war because of Liu Baiyan, and he had not expected that Liu Baiyan actually ran over to Celestial Light sect on his own accord. This was simply a direct provocation to him. Was there a need to even say out his purpose of this trip? As a man, with just one look, he was able to tell the other party's motive. Liu Baiyan was obviously here for Huang Yueli, to find trouble with him, his love rival. Liu Baiyan could tell the obvious provocative tone from Li Moying's words, and his glare changed slightly, apparently angered by his words. But he quickly calmed down as he gave a cold laugh. You are pretty bold to speak to me in this manner. Aren't you afraid that I'd kill you right here? Li Moying didn't even flinch as his tone grew even colder. Oh. Divine Dr. Liu really feels that, yourself is the #1 top expert in Soaring Heaven's continent. Or do you feel that, as long as I'm not around, you will have the chance to get my woman? Liu Baiyan's body shivered slightly. Although he already knew that the young lass was Li Moying's fiancée, but hearing his kind of declaration from his mouth still made him feel uncomfortable. Just like 14 years ago when he saw Mu Qingying and Huang Yueli display their affections openly. That kind of regret, envy, jealous complicated feelings. Liu Baiyan clenched his teeth as he started at his eyes. You indeed already know about it. Then I shall speak openly then. I am indeed here because of Bai Ruoli. I will give you two choices. If you know what's good for you, leave her on your own initiative and I will be responsible for curing your soul detachment illness. You should know that you have extraordinary potential and you're only dragged down by your soul detachment illness. As long as you are cured, it will just be a matter of time before you become Soaring Heaven's continent's #1 top expert, so by then there will be endless women for you to choose from, isn't it? Moreover, Bai Ruoli doesn't truly want to be with you. I already know that she's in a prenatal betrothal with you. For the sake of morality, which was why she is staying with you. Why must you drag her down? Let her go and let her find someone who can truly take care of her. Lu Bian raised his chin as he coldly declared. Ever since that day at the bottom of the mountain in the small town after Huang Yueli threw him such a huge bomb, he had been feeling frustrated as, using the excuse of going out of town to do a consultation, he traveled around to drive away his worries. It was until yesterday night when he suddenly thought about it. No matter now, Li Moying had no right to deserve such a nice lady, whereas he was soaring heaven's #1 divine doctor, and moreover he was in the 9th stage realm. In terms of looks, he wasn't too far off from Li Moying, so as long as he could drive Li Moying away, it shouldn't be a difficult thing if he wanted to woo Bai Ruoli. The current situation was very different from 14 years ago. The current Li Moying was not his match at all. He had the ability to make Li Moying back out. So that was why Lu Bian arrived at Celestial Light Sect early this morning. He would raise his request for the exchange, which was very simple. Li Moying had to make a choice between his life and future or his fiancée. Anyone with a normal state of mind would know which was more worthwhile. You can also listen on. Of course, Li Moying wasn't any ordinary person. Lu Bian knew that if it was 14 years ago, Mu Qingying would absolutely not desert the woman he loved. But today was different from then. Lu Bian felt that Li Moying had not much feelings towards this fiancé of his. After all, after having seen the peerless beauty Huang Yueli, they would probably thought other women were ordinary and plain. Moreover, in the past Mu Qingying had no rivals under the heavens, so he naturally had no worries, but now, Lu Bian was able to claim Li Moying's life anytime. Under such circumstances, would he still be so insistent as in his past life? Lu Bian stared at Li Moying's face and he observed his expression without blinking, in the hope of seeing his wavering and hesitation. However, what made Lu Bian disappointed was that there was no change in emotions on Li Moying's face, and the latter indifferently asked, "Didn't you say to give me 2 choices? What's the other?" Lu Bian coldly curled his lips. So he wasn't wavered because, he wanted to know what other choice did he have. "There's another choice, which is to die. Anyway, as long as you die, Bai Ruoli will have no more fiancés, so as long as I stay by her side to comfort her, she will come into my embrace sooner or later." After Li Moying heard that, he started laughing, but the icy smile had not reached the depths of his eyes. Instead, it revealed a shocking, imposing manner. Even for a 9th stage realm practitioner like Lu Bian couldn't help but felt a chill running down his spine. That kind of gaze made him felt as though he had seen Mu Qingying. Li Moying's cold voice was heard, "I understand your meaning, but I'd advise you to forget about it. I will absolutely not give Lear up. She's mine forever. If you want my life, then come on, but if you think that Lear is such a superficial woman that after my death she will follow you, then it's best that you stop your daydreams soon." Pausing for a moment, he continued, "I still have my sect affairs to deal with, so my apologies for not sparing the time to bring Divine Dr. Lu around to take a look." Saying that, Li Moying had no mood to continue staying there as he directly turned around to leave. Lu Bian looked at his arrogant departing figure as he recalled the icy cold declaration earlier, and his heart started to surge into a tremendous flame. Such arrogant and overbearing attitude was exactly the same as in his past life. But what right did he have to say that? And what capability did he base it on? In his past life, he said that he would protect Huang Yueli forever, loving her and taking care of her, but in the end? His words were still ringing in his ears when Huang Yueli had self-exploded in the northern ice fields as she was attacked by multiple people. Not only were there no remains of her physical body, her soul had even scattered. At that moment, where was he? After Huang Yueli died, he had once vowed that he would never had a change of heart forever, but what about now? He had just reincarnated and he had totally forgotten about Huang Yueli. Furthermore, falling in love with another woman. While he was expressing his loyalty towards Bai Ruoli, then where had he placed Huang Yueli, who had died terribly? Lu Baiyan's heart was surging with an unknown and unexplainable emotion as he recalled his many years of invisible tolerance and backing off resulted not only in losing a woman he likes, but also a brother who he valued the most. It was until today, this time, he would never give up no matter what. Thinking of this, the profound energy within his body poured out uncontrollably as it shot towards Li Moying's direction. Following Lu Baiyan's action, a bluster of earth-attributed profound qi started to gather around him. You can also listen on. The surrounding green leaves on the trees started to wither as though all their lives had been seized by him in one move. Earth-attributed profound qi had always been gentle, but under Lu Baiyan's ninth stage realm cultivation drive, it exploded into a powerful attack. Profound energy started to attack Li Moying from his back just as it was about to strike him. Li Moying suddenly turned around. His wrist flipped and he was already holding on to the amethyst light sword in his hand. The purple electric currents exploded in mid-air and a bolt of lightning descended from the sky, splitting the heaven and earth. Two powerful profound energy crashed in mid-air, giving off an earth-shattering intense sound as the ground trembled continuously while the trees in the surrounds were uprooted. After the explosive sound ended, Li Moying and Lu Baiyan both retreated off several steps as their eyes bore a shock and complication while exchanging gazes. This was Li Moying's first time meeting such a powerful ninth stage realm expert. Although his master, Murongda, was also in ninth stage realm, but as compared to Lu Baiyan, who had been an accomplished top-rated expert with outstanding ability, there was still a huge disparity. Li Moying's lips puckered up as he forcefully swallowed a mouthful of blood which surged up his throat. His face remained aloof and calm as though the exchange earlier had not dealt him with a huge influence. In front of his love rival, he absolutely could not express his weak side. Whereas Lu Baiyan's shock couldn't even be described with mere words. He already knew that in his past life, Mu Qingying's innate talent was extremely abnormal. Challenging an opponent crossing levels was as common as drinking water or having a meal. But as both of them were very good buddies, they only had a friendly exchange of hands and had never really used their full strength. So he only knew that Mu Qingying was much stronger than himself but had not known just how powerful he was. It was until now, facing Li Moying, due to the fact that Li Moying's primordial spirit had a flaw, so his potential was at most around 60 to 70% from his past life. But even so, the current him in 7th stage realm actually was able to receive one strike of his which was filled with fury. Even if Li Moying's nonchalance was acted out, that was enough to shock anyone as it was scary enough and simply had exceeded Lu Baiyan's imagination. If he was able to improve even more and step into 8th stage realm, then wouldn't he be able to officially go up evenly against him? But in this case, wouldn't he be living under his shadow forever, and for this entire lifetime? He would only still see the young lady who he liked, falling into his embrace. For that one moment, Lu Baiyan's heart arose a state of insanity. If he took the opportunity now while Li Moying's wings were still young, to kill him. This thinking made his heart flustered as the profound energy around him kept fluctuating. But in the end, he still couldn't do it. The friendship which they once had, wasn't a farce. They were once brothers who could entrust each other with their backs facing each other. Why did they come to such a state today? Li Moying looked at Lu Baiyan in alert, not understanding why he still hadn't made a move. Actually, it was an easy feat for Lu Baiyan to kill him. That strike earlier which he received had already exhausted all his energy, and if Lu Baiyan wanted to follow up a victory with hot pursuit, then he would eventually fall. With such a huge disparity in cultivation, he was still unable to cross over it. However, Lu Baiyan just stared at him for a long time but didn't make a move. Instead, he suddenly opened his mouth. Li Moying, have you really forgotten about her totally? Have you forgotten what you once said yourself? You can also listen on. Li Moying was stunned. She? What are you talking about? Lu Baiyan looked at his blank look and his blood started to boil. Li Moying had indeed forgotten. He no longer remembered that young lady from 14 years ago. He had also forgotten the promise which he made himself. Of course, he should have known this long ago. From the first time he did a consultation for Li Moying, he should already have known that Li Moying had completely forgotten all his memories in the past. But there would always be someone else, who had not forgotten. Lu Baiyan gave a cold huff. Looks like you have indeed forgotten. Li Moying frowned. What exactly do you mean? Lu Baiyan gave a cold laugh and said, yes, you've long forgotten that you had once made a lover's vow to someone. You once said that you will love and take care of this woman, which was why I gave her up to you. In the end, she died a horrible death in the northern ice fields. You totally were not able to protect her at all. What's more laughable now is that you've completely forgotten about her and you found yourself another fiancé. If one day you finally recall all these, I want to see how you're planning to punish yourself. Anyway, I've already given way to you the first time, so I will never give way to you the second time. By Ruoli. I want her. On accord of our past relationship, I'll let you off today. This bottle of medicine is for you. I've researched various ways of treating damaged primordial spirit before I finally refined this bottle of medicinal pills. With it, your condition should be relieved slightly. But after taking this medicine, leave Bai Ruoli's side sooner. You're not worthy of her. This is my last warning to you. The next time we meet, if you're still by her side, then don't blame me for not considering our past relations. Lu Baiyan rebuffed him all the way, and initially Li Moying was extremely furious. But as he listened, he felt that something was amiss, so his forehead creased even more tightly than before. If it was before that Lu Baiyan talked to him in this way, he would absolutely why not understand what Lu Baiyan's meaning was. But it wasn't the same now. Just a few days ago, his leader had just told him that he was the reincarnation of Soaring Heaven's Continent's #1 top expert Mu Qingying. Although he trusted Huang Yueli very much, but for such a ridiculous matter, he still had a little problem accepting it until now. Lu Baiyan's words to him, hadn't it acquiesced that he was Mu Qingying himself? Lu Baiyan said he had once promised made a lover's vow, so that naturally was Lear's past life. But why did Lu Baiyan said, gave up? Could it be that he also liked Lear in her past life? But none of the rumors had mentioned that the #1 divine Dr. Lu Baiyan had once liked Huang Yueli. Although Lu Baiyan was Mu Qingying's best buddy, but before this Li Moying had not considered the fact that Lu Baiyan knew about his identity in his past life. Because even he himself had no memories, and it took Lear a couple of months to discover the doubtful points on him, so there was no way Lu Baiyan could know about his identity. But now, the truth was the exact opposite. How on earth did Lu Baiyan knew about this? What else did he knew? Some things which he said were something which even Huang Yueli didn't knew about. Wait, Lu Baiyan, let me ask you. However, after Lu Baiyan left those words, he threw a medicinal bottle into Li Moying's hands, and with a flick of his sleeves, he gave a chilly laugh. Why? Now you know to be afraid. Unfortunately, I have nothing to say to you. Remember what I said, don't let me see you and Bai Ruoli together. You can also listen on. Li Moying's brows creased as he suddenly thought of something. Lu Baiyan was not only his best buddy in his past life, furthermore, he was also his rival in love. And from the looks of it, the two of them had already turned into enemies in his past life. Then now, will Lu Baiyan still answer the doubts in his inner heart? He only hesitated for a moment, but Lu Baiyan was extremely disappointed with him, so he totally didn't give him any time to continue asking. After he threw the bottle of medicinal bottle to him, Lu Baiyan turned around and started to leave. Lu Baiyan. Stand right there. Speak clearly. Earlier did you? But Lu Baiyan totally didn't listen to him. Instead he sped away faster and in a blink of an eye, he had already reached the bottom of the mountain. Li Moying hurriedly chased after him. But unfortunately Lu Baiyan's speed was much faster than his. By the time he reached the bottom of the mountain, there were no signs or even a shadow of Lu Baiyan's. Li Moying could only stop his pursuit and clutching the bottle of medicine in his hands, his expression turned paler as the memories in his head started to flash past his mind, in segments. Some were about him and Lu Baiyan and there were also some with Huang Yueli. There were also scenes where Lu Baiyan came by to visit him and Huang Yueli. Those complicated images, scenes after scenes flashed past his mind very quickly. Some were clear while others were blurry. When he wanted to take a careful look at it, those fragmented memories would suddenly shatter into pieces. Li Moying couldn't help but bent over as he hugged his head. At the present moment, he felt that his head was in so much pain that it was about to split open, and his senses was starting to drift away. In the trance, he seemed to have recalled something. Many years ago, when he was still a young man, he was still a nobody following around his mysterious and powerful master cultivating along the small towns around the border. The first time he headed into Sky Emperor City, he had already got acquainted with the 6th-tier pill refining master Lu Baiyan who had already made a name for himself in Soaring Heaven's continent. The two of them appreciated each other and very quickly they became firm friends. Lu Baiyan had once mentioned to him truthfully that he had secretly admired a young lady for many years but she had plenty of men wooing after her. He was afraid of being rejected so he had never confessed to her. At that time, Mu Qingying also encouraged him to not be afraid. Just go ahead and try first, but Lu Baiyan was very insistent that he must wait till he had become an accomplished 9th-tier pill master before he would woo her. Although Mu Qingying was helpless, but he didn't ask Lu Baiyan for the lady's name whom he was secretly in love with. He only felt that regarding matters of heart, if his advice wasn't of help then he would just let it go. Later on, the two of them were separated when they entered Sky Emperor City. For Mu Qingying, on the first time he entered the city, it was love at first sight for him when he unexpectedly saw Huang Yueli for the first time in the tea house. Mu Qingying was truly a man of action plus the fact that he never knew what was inferiority so the next day, he started to get involved with her. The result wasn't surprising at all. He hadn't even met the beauty when he got thrown out. But he had not felt a sense of defeat. Instead it kindled up his determination, vowing to pluck this flower which was high up. Later on, after several years, he was already Soaring Heaven's continent's #1 top expert and had successfully stuck himself onto Huang Yueli, appearing right beside her often. So although they weren't officially married, but the truth was they only had each other in their eyes and accompanied each other to every corner of Soaring Heaven's continent. As for Lu Baiyan who often saw them, he would reveal a desolate expression. However, Lu Baiyan concealed his emotions very well so he had never displayed his special feelings towards Huang Yueli at all. You can also listen on. At that time, Mu Qingying and Huang Yueli had once asked him why hadn't he confessed to the girl whom he liked. Lu Baiyan only smiled and said someone had already done it before him and that lady was already married to that person. From then on, Lu Baiyan started to flutter around the flowers. Mu Qingying thought that he suffered an emotional setback so he turned into a Casanova. He had never considered the fact that the lady whom Lu Baiyan had a crush on for so many years and was confessed successfully to by another person was his little fox. Later on, what exactly happened? Li Moying tried to recall what happened in the past but he simply couldn't recall what happened after that. The more he tried to recall, the more his memories turned into a blur. The pain in his head became more and more intense as it gradually escalated which made the sweat which had formed on his forehead starting to drip downwards. What on earth happened? Li Moying only felt that his chest was starting to twitch in pain. As though after that, something horrifying had happened and the pain in his chest was overly distinct. But, why he was unable to recall what happened at all. Li Moying immersed himself into his memories and totally lost the connection between his body and the changes in the outer world. So he had not realized that the surrounding thunder attributed profound chi had all gathered towards his body and the raging lightning kept flashing. Bolt after bolt, it blustered celestial light sect's rear mountain. Moreover, as the pain in his head continued to worsen, the thunder region around him became more and more powerful, turning violent. Huang Yueli had spent the entire morning hiding in her room. Although she claimed that she was cultivating, in actual fact, she was sulking alone. Although she obviously knew that the Cold War between her and Li Moying couldn't possibly solve any problem, but she just felt gloomy and didn't want to bother about Li Moying. So in the morning when Li Moying appeared at the door to apologize, she hid in the room, ignoring him. After Li Moying left, Moe came in several times to serve her tea. Further, Moe would mention Li Moying every single time. Third Miss, this Lotus Spring tea is something which Master had brought back last year when he went to the East Sky region to experience training. It's said to raise an armament master's concentration and replenish the loss of profound energy. I heard that just 50 grams of this already costs 10,000 upper-grade spirit stones. Please have a taste. Third Miss, Master specially instructed the cooks to make this osmanthus cake, hearing that you especially love this snack. Third Miss, the armament refining materials which Master had auctioned for in Sky Cloud City a few days already have been delivered. Will you please go check the inventory? Third Miss. Huang Yueli was so irritated by him that she finally couldn't help but smash the cup in her hand heavily on the table as she shouted irritably, "Can you stop mentioning about your master? What are you still so loyal to him? Haven't Li Moying already assigned you to follow me? Whose side are you on?" Moe's expression was unchanged. Third Miss, please be appeased. What I'm saying is just the truth. Since you don't allow me to mention young sect master, then I won't mention him. The minute he said that, Huang Yueli suddenly felt that she seemed to be an unreasonable woman who threw tantrums for no reason and immediately felt that she was extremely stuffed. All right, I want to quietly cultivate on my own. Can you please go somewhere else, and unless the world is going to collapse, otherwise please don't come disturb me. With a bang, the door shut immediately and Moe was swept out of the door. The serving maid who was waiting by the entrance, was still holding the snack which Li Moying had asked them to prepare before he left. You can also listen on. The serving maid looked at Moe in apprehension. Protector Moe, these snacks. What do you think we should do? Moe sighed. Forget it, bring it back to the kitchen for now. But, if Master were to blame us, Moe waved his hand and said, we have no choice if he does so. Just leave Third Miss alone for the time moment. Otherwise perhaps we haven't even buttered up Master yet and instead buttered on the horse's feet, then we'd be in even deeper trouble. The two of them were talking when they heard a flabbergasted voice from the entrance. Oh no. Eldest brother, something bad has happened. Where is Third Miss? Moe couldn't help but frown. What's up with this fellow? Why are you so flustered? Third Miss is already in such a bad mood and he's still here yelling and shouting. Isn't he giving Master even more problems? He hurriedly walked out and just met Moe when he was shocked. You. What's the matter? Moe's clothing was torn and tattered and his face was stained with ash and blood, bearing a pale and weak look. Apparently he was suffering from an internal injury which isn't very light. Moe immediately got anxious. Moe had been following around Li Moying, and now that he was suffering from such a serious injury and in such a hurry to look for Third Miss, could it be that something had happened to Master? Moe pulled his collar. What on earth happened? Quickly tell me. Has something happened to Master? Mo Air ran throughout the entire journey despite being injured, hence he was already panting badly while trying to speak out, Master. Master, his illness suddenly acted up. What? How is that possible? When Master went out earlier he was still fine and there's still quite some time before the next full moon, so how is it possible for his illness to act up? It's a long story, anyway, quickly go get third miss. But third miss she, Moe frowned. At this moment, the bedroom door opened and Huang Yule ran out with an anxious look on her face. What were you guys talking about earlier? Li Moying, his illness acted up again. What on earth happened? Third miss, Mo Air hadn't even said a word when an earth-shattering thunder was heard from mid-sky and a bolt of lightning came striking downwards. Momentarily, the entire earth shook as mountains swayed. Huang Yuli's expression changed and unable to stay any longer, she let go of Mo Air as she turned around and ran towards the bottom of the mountain. Third miss, you, don't be too anxious. Wait for me, Moe anxiously chased after her. When Huang Yuli arrived at the scene, a large portion of celestial light sect's foot of the mountain had been blocked by an array. Ordinary disciples were all obstructed outside the array and only the sect's high-level protectors and above members were allowed into the array. Although ordinary disciples were not able to enter, but most of them didn't leave. Instead they were hiding in a corner with a terror-stricken face, trying to take a clear look at what's going on in the array. Li Moying usually had a fixed timing for his illness to act up, and after he took Lu Baiyan's medication, most of the time he wouldn't cause such a huge commotion. Even if sometimes the medication failed, he would only destroy the rear mountain, which was where he was residing in. So this was the first time when most of Celestial Light sect disciples had seen such a huge array, furthermore not knowing why this was done. Momentarily, everyone was flustered. What's going on? Why has such a powerful thunder been attracted? This is simply too terrifying. You can also listen on. Heavens, this shocking aura should at least be a 9th stage realm practitioner advancing, which would cause such an effect like this. Could it be that someone in the sect is advancing into 9th stage realm again? How could that be possible? How many years has it been since the sect had any new 9th stage realm practitioners? Young sect master has the highest possibility to break through, but he's still young, so no matter what, it'd still take several years for that to happen. Then, what on earth is happening? Surely it cannot be that other sect's people came attacking Celestial Light sect, right? Quickly take a look. Those flying around in the air are all our sect's 9th stage realm elders. They have all came. What on earth is happening? Huang Yuli too saw those elders who had arrived and couldn't help but frowned. So many 9th stage realm practitioners and none of them could stop Li Moying. It showed the severity of his illness this time round. He'd already been in such a stage and yet he still refused to listen to her to seek consultation. She really didn't know what else to say. She hurriedly squeezed through the crowd and dashed towards the array. The disciples behind her wanted to call out to her when they saw that she was dressed in an outer disciple uniform. This junior sister, you, don't be rash. It's very dangerous there and it's not a place where we ordinary disciples can enter. That's right, besides that even if you wanted to enter, you're not able to. That array will obstruct all disciples below 5th stage realm outside. Before that person's words were completed, he suddenly stopped as his expression seemed as though he had seen a ghost. He saw Huang Yuli enter the array easily, slipping inside swiftly. Not only was she not obstructed by the array, her speed had not even decreased as she dashed inside. There were guards outside the array, but no one was fast enough to react. They only saw a fleeting figure passing between them and in a blink of an eye, it was gone. Huang Yuli had ran towards the direction of where the lightning was striking downwards. When she got nearer, she finally saw Li Moying's situation clearly. At this present moment, his entire body was enveloped by electrical currents, and lightning wings which she saw previously in Celestial Light Academy had once again appeared behind his back. Li Moying's pale white face with his tightly knitted brows was bearing a tormented expression, but the imposing manner on his was so powerful that he was in a world above others. His surrounding circumference had been enveloped by lightning, and even for a 9th stage realm practitioner like Murongda was not able to get close to him. Other than the 9th stage realm elders, some other direct disciples had also hurried over. The only ones who Huang Yueli recognized were Luo Jiyun, Li Lingchuan and Murong Fei. Murong and I had not appeared this time round, probably because her cultivation was simply too low, so she might accidentally lose her life if she appeared here. Other than these people, there was no shadow guards around at all. This made Huang Yueli surprised, but when she linked back to Mo Air's disheveled look earlier, a sliver of uneasiness arose in her heart. Just at this moment, Murong Fei suddenly sensed her vision and turned around. On seeing Huang Yueli, her face immediately surfaced a hatred expression as she strode over. "By Ruoli, you little slut, how dare you even come here? Who let you enter this place?" Huang Yueli directly ignored her as she proceeded towards Li Moying. Murong Fei clenched her teeth as she shot upwards like an arrow, blocking her path. "Stand right there. Where do you think this place is? You certainly have a lot of guts. You can also listen on." Huang Yueli then shifted her gaze to her as she coldly opened her mouth. "Move aside. Don't block my way." Murong Fei sneered. "Why? Where do you think you're going? Who do you think you are? Can't you see eldest senior brother's current condition? When eldest senior brother's illness acts up, his cultivation shoots up genuinely to 9th stage realm peak. Even if my father and the other elders join hands, they also find it hard to control him. Who do you think you are? If you dare to go over, you'd immediately be struck into ash by lightning. For a woman with a lowly cultivation like yours, usually it's more than enough for you to hide behind eldest senior brother's back. At this kind of timing, it's not time for a little slut like you to create trouble." Huang Yueli frowned, feeling that Murong Fei was extremely irritating. If Li Moying's current situation was not controlled in time, he would be exhausting his profound energy and life source, so she had no time at all to waste. "I'll say this one more time, move aside. I'm willing to go over, so what concern is it of yours? If I'm struck to death, shouldn't you feel glad over it?" Murong Fei went into a blank as she immediately said, "Of course I'm glad if you die. But if you try to create havoc from this and cause eldest senior brother to die, then what should we do? Hurry up and get lost. This place doesn't welcome you." Huang Yueli replied, "I think, if you don't hurry and move aside, then you're the one who will cause him to die." Murong Fei couldn't help but laughed out, "Ha! This is the funniest joke I've heard. You, oh." She was laughing halfway when she suddenly shrieked. So, Huang Yueli couldn't bear to hear her awful laughter and had no mood to haggle on with her, so she threw out her right hand and retrieved a thin and almost transparent little dagger, casting it towards Murong Fei's face. Murong Fei only cared about laughing and had not expected that this young lady whose cultivation was so far away from hers actually struck out at her. She was caught unawares, and although she managed to evade it, but her pretty face was still scratched by the flying dagger. Murong Fei was so infuriated that she jumped up. "Little slut, how dare you to actually hurt me? Now that eldest senior brother is no longer able to back you up, see if I don't tear you into 2 parts." Huang Yueli couldn't even be bothered to take a look at her as she ran towards Li Moying. At this moment, Li Moying's thunder attribute energy had gathered to the maximum and was at a point where it would explode at any moment. Murong Da and 7 other 9th stage realm elders were all in positions around him, trapping him according to the 8 trigrams positions. Each elder bore a grave expression, lifting their concentration as they guarded, afraid that Li Moying would suddenly burst into a rage. The energy of Li Moying's thunder region was getting more and more frantic while the array which the elders were controlling started to take a toll on them, so signs of tiredness appeared on several elders' faces. Murongda was one of the youngest amongst them, and because of that, he suffered the most pressure as his complexion started to become graver and graver. He had not expected Li Moying's power to increase yet again. Originally it was already difficult to control him, and now, he had actually attracted the heavenly thunder. It was rumored that only those practitioners who had a breakthrough to 10th stage realm while advancement would attract heavenly thunder. Did it mean that he was already closing into 10th stage realm? Why was it that, whenever he acted up, the profound energy in his body would become stronger and stronger? Furthermore, today was obviously not full moon's night. Why did his illness suddenly act up? Just at this moment, he heard Murong Fei and Huang Yueli's argument. You can also listen on. Murongda used his peripheral vision from the corner of his eye to take a look and recognized the young lady next to Murong Fei. She was the young fiancée which Li Moying had brought over from South Yu Kingdom. Hearing Murong Fei scolding her with the name "little slut" with every single sentence, the veins bulging on Murongda's head started to twitch. His eldest daughter had indeed been pampered rotten by him. What kind of timing was this now, and she was still thinking of fighting for affections with her love rival. Li Moying's attitude was clear for all to see. He only liked this young fiancée of him, and so because of this, he didn't even give any face to his master. With Li Moying's innate talent and character, who dared to force him? The entire celestial light sex future heavily depended upon him. Moreover, even if she wanted to fight for affection, she shouldn't choose such a timing to do so. Li Moying was on the verge of eruption, and originally it was totally unpredictable on what would happen when his illness acted up. If Murong Fei were to hurt his young fiancé at this juncture, affecting Li Moying's emotions, he might really act recklessly and go on a killing spree. Especially since today Li Moying actually displayed power which was close to the 10th stage realm. To tell the truth, even if he joined hands with the 7 elders, with the aid of array and high-level profound armaments, there was a 90% chance that they wouldn't be able to stop him. Murongda wanted badly to stop his own daughter, but he was now in position at the array and couldn't move as he wanted, so he could only barely watch these two young ladies' quarrel gradually escalating. After Huang Yueli hurt Murong Fei, the latter flew into a rage, and without a care to avoid Li Moying's thunder region, she directly chased after Huang Yueli into the inner part of the array. Murongda was so scared that his forehead was filled with sweat, and he finally couldn't endure it any further and risked suffering the backlash from the array as he shouted out loudly to stop them. Stand there. Don't come over. It's dangerous here. However, Huang Yueli didn't decrease her speed at all. Instead, she charged towards the thunder region. Murong Fei hesitated for a moment, but on seeing Huang Yueli about to get away, she clenched her teeth as she pursued after her. Huang Yueli's figure was like lightning as she zigzagged neatly around the lightning seams and charged forward without any signs of slowing down. But Murong Fei did not have that kind of precise sight, nor did she have that excellent body movements, so the minute she entered into the thunder region, just within 3 breaths, she was struck by the first bolt of lightning. No dash. Murongda's eye popped out in terror. He witnessed Murong Fei's body being struck as it flew out. A large portion of her chest had turned black, and right after she fell onto the ground, she lost consciousness. Murongda almost couldn't stabilize the array as he subconsciously wanted to fly over. It was Elder Chiu who was beside him who softly coughed out to remind him, "Sect Master, be careful. The array is not going to hold up any longer." Murongda barely managed to control himself, and upon turning back, Li Lingchuan and Luo Jiyun had already ran towards Murong Fei, crowding around her to conduct first aid, and after a moment later, Murong Fei threw out a mouthful of blood as she slightly gained consciousness, which allowed him to rest assured. But at this moment, Elder Chiu opened his mouth again. Sect Master. Things are bad. That young lass had really ran in and she is going to run into young Sect Master immediately. What should we do? Murongda took a look and realized that while he had lost concentration for that short moment of time, Wang Yueli had already ran a few kilometers and was now within 300 to 400 meters away from Li Moying. His eyes grew wide as he looked in disbelief. Wait a minute, how did she enter? Don't tell me she just ran in like that. You can also listen on. Elder Chiu had witnessed it with his own eyes, so he was even more astonished than him. Isn't that so? I saw her running in just like that, and moreover, she ran pretty swiftly. Murongda said, Elder Chiu, are you sure you aren't seeing things? The lightning here is so concentrated and she's just at 4th stage realm. Wait a minute, she's actually in the 4th stage realm. He said that halfway, and upon careful look at Huang Yueli's cultivation, his eyeballs nearly dropped out on the ground as he almost couldn't hold up the array once again. Murong Fei had told him before that Li Moying's young fiancée's cultivation was extremely weak, her innate talent was really bad, and that she used her face to seduce Li Moying. At that time, he felt that something was amiss. After all, for a person like Li Moying, would he place any emphasis on a woman's beauty? In the end, after seeing her today, she was no trash at all. At her current age, to be able to attain 4th stage realm later stage was enough to become a direct descendant in Celestial Light sect. Elder Chiu saw him going into a trance as he hurriedly added on, Sect Master, let's not bother about what is her cultivation for now. What should we do right now? She dashed into the array like that, and if she alarmed young Sect Master and infuriated him, then we might not be able to stop him. Murongda's face turned stiff as he regained his senses and immediately became anxious. That's right, if he allowed Huang Yueli to dash in like that, then things were going to be in bad shape. What Elder Chiu said was only a portion of the consequences. Even if they were able to stop Li Moying from erupting, but if Huang Yueli went next to Li Moying, who was now acting up, she would definitely be attacked by him. How was it possible for a 4th stage realm young lass to even take a casual strike from a 9th stage realm peak practitioner? That young lass was absolutely dead meat. When Li Moying awoken and realized that his beloved fiancée had died in his own hands, perhaps he might really go crazy. The more Murongda thought, the more terrified he got as his face turned pale. This young lass absolutely could not die. He hurriedly added, this will not do. Elders, let's not bother about the array. Follow me in quickly and whisk that impudent young lass out. She just dashed in like that, so she's not going to be able to live. When the elders heard his command, they all went into a blank as no one heeded his command. Sect Master, are you sure? She's merely a young lass, so if she dies, then let it be. Even if her innate talent is not bad, but surely we cannot risk the danger of young Sect Master losing control to save her, right? If young Sect Master really loses control, then perhaps the entire Celestial Light sect's disciples will all die. That's right, Sect Master, although it is a waste for a genius to be lost, but you've got to be clear on which is more important. That's right, furthermore, we didn't want that young lass to run in. It's she herself who's looking for death. Murongda's facial expression turned extremely ugly as he replied urgently, what do you know? She's young Sect Master's fiancée. If anything were to befall onto her, would Moying still stay in Celestial Light sect? The crowd was stunned momentarily as all of them started breaking out in cold sweat. They were the sect's higher management and naturally heard about the rumors in the sect, regarding how Li Moying had bristled with anger over a beauty. But Li Moying's fiancé of his really had no vision at all. What kind of timing was it now, and she still dared to run about recklessly? Wasn't she finding trouble for everyone? Just at this moment, Luo Jiyun suddenly ran over and shouted, Master, don't be too anxious. Don't dispel the array. Elders, please maintain your current positions. Murong frowned. Jiyun, why are you also? You can also listen on. Murong's tone apparently was filled with frustration and disagreement. Luo Jiyun didn't bother to explain any further as he only said, Master, rest assured. Now that sister-in-law is here, nothing might happen to eldest senior brother. Elders, please don't be overly anxious. Just watch on by the side, sister-in-law will handle things properly. Murong totally didn't believe in his pack of lies. Jiyun, why are you so muddled? Don't you know by now how terrifying it is when your eldest senior brother acts up? He totally doesn't recognize anyone, even for your master. He will also attack me. Usually he might indeed be docile and obedient towards his fiancée, but now it is not like the usual times. Sigh. Murong was just about to continue leading the elders to save the day when he also saw Li Lingchuan standing up. Master, it's better that you make preparations first. If eldest senior brother really erupts, then protecting the sect is the #1 priority. Now even if we want to save that misbuy, it's too late, so why not just stabilize the array first? Moreover speaking, he took a look at Luo Jiyun, giving off a smile of ridicule, since fifth junior brother has vowed so solemnly, so perhaps Miss Bai really has some ability. She might not even need us to go save her. Even if something really happens, in future if eldest senior brother really wants to blame anyone, that would be fifth junior brother's credit. Li Lingchuan had long wanted Li Moying to die faster. If that young lass surnamed Bai was really dead, Li Moying would be so disoriented that he left Celestial Light Sect in fury, which will give Li Lingchuan a chance to climb up to the position of Celestial Light Sect Master. Otherwise that eldest senior brother whose innate talent was excellent would always be above him. He would never be able to hold his head up high. That time in Dark Moon Forest, he wanted to use the opportunity to kill Li Moying, who was seriously injured, but in the end he was almost counter-killed. For a long time after that, he didn't even dare to return to the sect. Today, he finally got such a good opportunity to make Li Moying go crazy and beg for death, so how could he possibly miss this chance? Indeed, after Li Lingchuan's interruption, Wang Yueli had successfully managed to reach Li Moying in the short period of time. The two of them were only a few steps apart, where they were able to touch each other the minute they stretched out their hands. When Murong saw this, he knew that no matter how he tried, he had no way to save Wang Yueli, so he couldn't help but let out a long sigh. He had already ascertained that Wang Yueli was finished, Li Moying was finished, and Celestial Light was also finished. Li Lingchuan's face surfaced a delighted smile as he was extremely happy beyond words. Even Murong Fei, who was unable to get up while lying on the ground, revealed a sliver of sinister smile. That little slut was dead for sure this time round. Only Luo Jiyun glanced around and shrugged his shoulders as he sat down underneath the shade of a tree. Among those people present, he was the only one who had once seen Wang Yueli placate Li Moying in the Dark Moon Forest when he acted up. That time he and Moe and the rest were half dead from the fright, but in the end. But Luo Jiyun knew that no matter how much he said, no one would believe him, so it was better for the truth to do the talking. At this current moment, Wang Yueli totally didn't know what the others' response were. She was fully concentrated on the man in front of her. Li Moying suddenly lowered his head as his piercing cold stare swept towards her. That pair of gloomy eyes penetrating with bitter frost brought along a kind of force which could convulse one's heart. It seemed as though it came from hell and was enough to make anyone who met this pair of eyes plead for mercy while trembling in fear. You can also listen on. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.